recording. This was, put your name. It's Q1, week 6, and today is Tuesday. Number 1, Steve is taller than John,
Yes.
but Elijah is taller than Steve.
Yes.
Okay, so I just, to show work, I just am like, okay, Steve is taller than John, so I start with John, and I say Steve is taller, so I put him to the right. Some of you might put him to the top. But Elijah is taller than Steve, so then I'm gonna put Elijah taller than Steve, because I know in a number line it goes to the right and I'm taller. Is Elijah taller than John?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all the work you have to show for something like that.
How is that related to math?
Because you have to think, it's critical thinking. And math is all about critical thinking and becoming a problem solver. So that was solving a problem. It doesn't have to always have numbers. A negative 4/7 plus a negative 4/3. You need to write it up and down in my class when we're adding or subtracting fractions. First thing we have to do then is to find a,
Common denominator.
which would be what? 21. Show how you got there, which was times 3. So this would be a negative 12. And this is times 7. So I have a negative 28. If I'm adding fractions and they are both negatives, you just what? Add and keep the sign, right? So my denominator is gonna stay 21. 28 plus 12 is 40, so I've got a negative 40 over 21. Then I need to make my improper fraction a mixed number. So it'll be, I take 40 divided by 21 and it goes in there one time with 19 left over. So negative 1 and 19/21 is your final answer.
Will we be counting this incorrect if we got it wrong? If we didn't simplify?
Yeah, I just write it in there. On the test, if you don't simplify, yes, it would be counted wrong. Or I should say quiz. Erase 3/5 of the shaded part below. How much of the original picture will be shaded? So 3/5 of, so I'm gonna write 3/5 of, and what's shaded?
1 or 2/3.
2/3. So I have 3/5 of 2/3. What does of mean in math?
Multiply.
So I'm just gonna change that and write multiplication over it. And I'm going to do what? I'm going to
Cross cancel.
cross cancel by 3's. So I get 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay? But, so I got 2/5, right? So, but it says to erase that. So what do I have to do with that now?
Subtract 1 whole from.
Not 1 whole. I'm gonna take my, what do I start with?
2/5.
Not 2/5, 2/3. So I'm gonna take my 2/3 now. I'm gonna subtract how much from it? My 2/5. Find it. How many of you didn't do that part yet? Yeah. I had to read it like 3 times in order to know how to do that. So that would become 15, my common denominator. I got 10/15 times 3. So 10 minus 6 is 4/15 then is your final answer.
It was off.
How many of you at least did the 3/5 times 2/3? That's a good start. That's a really good start. But then when it says to erase that, I had to take it away from the original picture. Number 4. I went through and I changed all my fractions to mixed numbers. Is that what you guys did?
No.
What did you do?
I just put them on the number line because I knew where they were.
Well, you need to make sure you know exactly, like 5/3 is what? That's this number.
-1 and
2/3. And this is the work I wanna see on your paper. 18/11 is really what?
1 and 7/11.
1 and 7/11. 10/4 is 2 and what? 2 and 2/4, which is 2 and 1/2. And then a -3/3 is really a -1. Okay, so then on my number line, 1 and 2/3. I have a -1, a -1/2, and then a -2. Where would I go in between? -1/2 and -2. Oh, sorry. And then I would label it A. 18/11 is 1 and 7/11. Where does it closest to? Is it above 1.5 or below 1.5? Above, right? 10/4 is 2.5. This is the one where you had to extend your number line. And a -3/3 is just a -1. And then I put my label there. When you get a problem like this, you don't have to rewrite it in your spiral notebook, you can just put it on the number line. Number 5. It says to solve this equation. Before I can solve for x, or before I can box up the x, what do I need to do? Nope. Say that again. Distributive property, you have to distribute the 2. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8, so it's 2x minus 8 equals a -22. Now I'm going to do the, what? Now I'm gonna make my line. I guess if you made your line before, that's fine, and then do the distributive property, but now I have something that I can box. So I can box up my 2x. And then to subtract 8, I'm going to now, instead of subtracting 8, I'm going to add on both sides. Showing all of this work. A negative and a positive means I'm going to subtract, and I get what? 14. Because 12 minus 8 is 4. And bring on my 2x. Cancel this out. Box up my x. Divide by 2 on both sides. The 2 cancels out, so x equals a -7. How many of you got x equals -7? Good.
I did this like without doing
So you did it without doing the distributive property? So did you start then? You drew your line, and what did you do first?
I boxed up the parentheses
You boxed the parentheses,
and divided by 2.
and you divided both sides by 2. So you're left with x minus 4 equals a -11. Then you added 4 to both sides. That's fine. Yep. And, okay, what's my next number? Circle the common factors of 20W and 4WZ. You need to write on your paper. Make sure you're writing all the factors. So I'm writing the factors of 20W on one line and then 40WZ on the next line. 1 and, guys help me out, 1 and 2 and 4 and anything else? And then my W. 1 and 40, 2 and 4 and 5. Anything else? W, Z. Circle what we have in common. So I circled all of that, and then I go back to my paper. And so did they have 10 in common? Yes. 20W? Yes, because I circled a 20 and I circled a W. 10XZ?
No.
They don't even have an X. 5Z? Nope, they both don't have the Z. 2W?
Yes.
Z? 9W? Z, W.
Yes.
Alright. 7. It says to simplify, so I got a negative 7 times the quantity, 3E minus 2F plus 4 plus 6E minus 2. What property do I do first? Distributive, right? So I've got a negative 21E. What do I have next? Is it gonna be a negative? No. A negative times a negative becomes a positive 14F. Then a negative 7 times a positive 4 becomes a negative 28. Then I just write down the plus 6E minus 2. Then I'm going to combine my like terms. I have a 21E and a 6E. One's negative, one's positive, so I have to subtract. So 21 minus 6 is, so I have a negative 15E. Do I have anything that I can combine with the F? No.
The 14F would be negative.
No, it's not. A negative times a negative is positive. When you do the distributive property, you're multiplying. And this is where I tell you guys in algebra, you have to think of that subtraction sign as a negative. So then it's plus 14F. I can combine my negative 28 and my negative 2, which would be a negative 30. Did anyone get this one right? Good. Yeah, all right? Okay, then fix it. How many of you got it wrong because you said it was a negative 14F? How many of you just didn't know what to do? Perfect. Okay. Do you understand a little bit better?
Yeah.
Kind of? Need a little bit more? That's totally understandable. And number 8, it says the side length of a square, I'm trying to fit it in here, is 4x minus 2y. It says, what is the perimeter? How do you find the perimeter of a square? Add all 4 sides, right? But if it's a square, they're all gonna be the same length, right? So can I multiply this by 4? So I'm gonna put the 4 in front. Then I'm just gonna do the distributive property. 4 times 4 is 16x, and then 4 times the negative 2 would be a negative 8y. Go ahead and take a picture in